Hey, my name is Mike Perez. I've been in this video industry for the past 7 years or so, working full time, and I make a vlog. And if you're not familiar with my page, check out my last vlog. My last vlog, I got to work on crew for one of the videos that were shot for the C80 release, and just looking at all the specs, looking at being made on the day, and just kind of watching the client monitor when we were director's monitor, when we were done, just watching the playback. I was really impressed. Really impressed with the specs. I've always liked the C70. I love the specs, but I just kind of thought that the price was a little too high in comparison to what was coming out. You know, the A7S III, the FX3. So, you know, it being $5,500 was just a little bit too much for me. And that's kind of where I always thought, you know, the Canon. I don't want to say that's the cripple hammer, because I don't think they had that very much other than the mini XLRs, but the price was the cripple hammer for me, because it was just like, if I'm going to pay that much, I want a little more. And that's what they gave us in the FX6. Fast forward to today, they've given us everything that the FX6 has given us, minus, you know, the XLRs. The XLRs are full size on the FX6. They're micro on the C80. But it's really nice. It's a really nice camera, full frame, all that good stuff. If you even clicked on my video, you know what I'm talking about with the C80. And then, once again, we get another announcement about the pyxis, because they've released the new monitor. And I kind of feel like now that that monitor's been advertised, it's like, okay, that's why they've taken so long to ship it out. I kind of feel it's like the Sonic movie. Remember when they came up with the Sonic movie and he looked horrible and all the fans like revolted? And so Paramount was like, okay, give us a little bit longer and we're gonna work on it and then put it back out. And then everybody loved it. I think Blackmagic kind of did that, because now it's gonna be, okay, well, everybody had gripes about the monitor. Well, they fixed the monitor now, and you can buy it for a relatively low cost for a really good quality monitor. Besides the point. So I'm thinking about the pyxis now again, and I'm like, man, then that's a little closer to my price range. It's a Blackmagic. I made a video about the pyxis when it was first announced, and then after NAB we got our hands on, and I talked about it, and I couldn't see why so many people were hating on it. Regardless, I enjoyed the camera. I liked getting my hands on the camera at NAB, but I wasn't gonna buy it. If anything, I was gonna rent it. But now all these new cameras coming out, all these new accessories. Since then, the G7 has come up, not the G7, the GH7 has come out. That thing is brilliant. I still have a GH4, so, you know, those things aren't too far beyond me. I still have lenses for that camera system, so I'm just like, so many good cameras. But when I think about, and this is the reason why I'm making the video and I'm ranting, all that I'm ranting is because when I think about it, this camera has met every need that I needed it to do. Everything that I've needed it to do. And I apologize, I got my window open because it's actually cool here in Bakersfield for once, but I live right next to a pretty busy street. Anyway, this thing has met every need, and it has handled everything that I've thrown at it. Now, since I've had it for so many years, I bought it in 21, and I gave it a year before I picked it up. But everything that I wanted it to do, I've since purchased to have that workaround. In other words, it doesn't have internal NDs. I bought the Tilted Mirage and that matte box VND system, and I've loved it. And it's all I have to do is just pop it in. I always put a matte box on my camera anyway, because you already know how it goes. People walk up to you, hey, take my picture. It's not, you know what I mean? And so it's one of those things where whenever we show up on set, I always try to make this thing look like it's a legit video camera, not a photo camera. And so I would always put matte boxes on it anyway. So when I bought the Tilted VND, that just took care of all of my VND needs. When it comes to like, oh, hey, well, the Blackmagic's record RAW. Well, I ended up getting the Ninja V, which now I can record ProRes RAW. And just a side rant on that, you don't even need it. I've done tests, I've run tests, and the difference is so minimal, it's not even worth it. The 10-bit on this thing is good enough. So and it meets all of the requirements that I have for it. Not to mention the fact that this guy has incredible autofocus. So as I'm thinking about it, the only reason that I would get a new camera would be to inspire me to want to go out and shoot, you know, when it's not for work. In other words, I want to go out and make a passion project. I want to go out and shoot something just so I can get my hands on it and get familiar with it and make something cool with the new camera. Otherwise, this does everything minus it doesn't do 6K. It does not do 6K. But I've never delivered anything in 6K. And right now, with my work that I do with Story King Studios, we rarely even deliver anything in 4K. If ever we deliver in 4K, it's just a bonus. You know, we're trying to just go the extra mile. Here's 4K for you, for the local client. And so that brings me to the point of this whole rant. Why would I get any other camera? Although I've been watching everything, and I've been wanting, like, I want to pick up a pyxis. I want to pick up a Canon C80. I want to pick up a Canon C400 and see what it could do. And not only that, but I forgot to mention one thing: the Komodo X for $7,000. Oh man, that really had me biting my nails, thinking, okay, what can I sell? Because I don't want to get in debt for a camera, so I'm like, what can I sell? What can I get rid of? So I can pick that camera up. And all in all, I don't need any of them. That's why I picked up the FS7, because you can make any modern camera look just as good as anything else. And how many productions were made on the FS7 that still hold up to this very day? If you'll notice, that's kind of one of the things that's happening now. Nobody's really upping each other in image quality anymore. Back in 2020, just 4 years ago, that was the big thing was not necessarily image quality, but more like bit depth. The race was on for bit depth because the images were already looking so good. Sony was kind of leading the charge, and then kind of going head to head with Canon in that area back in like 2017, 2018, where Sony dropped the A7 III, and then it was on. Everybody bought that camera, and it was just on. But then after that, it was like, okay, we've reached a certain point in image quality. What else can we offer? Well, then the A7S III dropped, the Canon C70 dropped, the Komodo 6K OG dropped, and it was like, okay, now we're getting 10-bit 422, 4K 60, 4K 120, and then in the Komodo's case, 6K 16-bit RAW. So it was like, okay, we're peaked here. And since then, nobody's really done more than that, other than we'll up the resolution. We'll try to give you a little bit more, and that's what everybody's been talking about. Well, what else can you do? What else can you throw in? Hence the Burano. And so now you have a camera, a cinema camera that has internal NDs, IBIS, RAW, and it's like they threw everything in the kitchen sink with that camera, because it's like, okay, where else can you go from here other than a legit, and when I mean legit, I mean an actual cinema camera that's used on actual Hollywood sets to create cinema movies for the cinema. But they all are there. They are all there when it comes to image quality. So anyway, that's my rant. Will I be buying something? Had you caught me on the day of, you know, where you get your credit card ready and you're looking at it and you're just drooling to get something. But after I have a night to sleep on it, I think about it and I'm just like, I don't need it. I really don't need it. Other than just to get me out there and start filming something, I really, really don't need it. And this rant is getting long. My point being, I'm not going to buy anything. Now, I'm going to extend the rant just a little bit longer. If I didn't have anything, or if I still had my Panasonic GH4, which is over there in the corner, if I didn't have anything modern, anything newer, then I definitely would. It's a greite time to buy. It is a really great time to buy. I love it when these companies are fighting each other for the top spot. I haven't even said Nikon. You know, I've mentioned Red, which is essentially Nikon now, but I haven't even talked about the brand Nikon and their Z cameras. They're fantastic cameras. So it's like, it's a great time if you're purchasing your first camera to get busy and do some work or go film, you know, short films or whatever. it is a great time because, gosh, there are so many great cameras. I want to say that I'm not going to buy anything, and I've kind of already said that. Um, I don't know if I will ever sell this and get a pyxis or something. I don't know. I don't think so because I don't need it. I just really don't need it. And this one, in all actuality, is much more versatile. You know, one of these Sony cameras, especially the A7S III, the FX3, or the FX30, on the lower end, the FX6 on the higher end, and the FX9, but I take the FX6 over the FX9. But still, the FX9, it's coming down in price so much, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So FX9 is in that conversation. They're so versatile. They do so much in comparison to, say, a KX. Getting a Komodo X is going to be strictly narrative. It's going to be strictly commercial. It's going to be strictly music video. It's not going to be event coverage. It's not going to be any type of, sometimes we'll get out there and we'll do, event coverage is basically what I call videographer work. There's not much videographer work you can do with the KX. You can try, but it's going to make it so much more difficult for you. Same thing with the Blackmagic. Blackmagic and the KX are on the same page. So that's why I stick to more commercial, narrative, music video stuff. And that's the direction we actually want to go in, is we want to go in the commercial shoot. But anyway, I've talked too much. The other thing is, if I have money that I can spend on gear, at this point in time, I want to spend it on better lenses, better rigging equipment. And I know it's really hard. It's really hard to look at like a Sackler Flowtech and then want to spend $2,000 on that when I can put $2,000 to a camera, and that feels better. All that being said, yeah, spend it on some lenses. Spend it on something else. For me, it would be a trade. I'd have to trade my camera, sell my camera, then use those funds to buy a new one. And I don't think it's worth it. I'm happy with what I got, and I just need to be content, and that's the key. Just as the scriptures say, godliness with contentment is great gain. There is great gain in being content with what I already have, if it's good enough. Now, if all I had was the GH4, and I'm already killing it with the GH4, and I'm ready for an upgrade, then upgrade. But I don't have that. That's not the only camera I have. I have an FS7, I have an A7S III, and those, although those are getting old, they still do the job and do it well. I don't need anything else. So I'm going to remain content with what I got. So, rant over.